They say that belief is the thread that connects all systems of learning, but what does it mean to believe? When you know something, you can simulate it in your mind, but when you are confronted with the reality, you may have an opposite reaction. You may push away what you know.
You suddenly begin to second guess and doubt what you know. And yet the quest for knowing continues. The quest continues at home where it is safe. When you're confronted with the real thing, you turn and seek safety elsewhere. You seek true contentment elsewhere, but you know what is real. But then this conflict causes you to doubt what you know, so you continue on the quest to know more, ever searching for the secret to life, the secret to social success, and the secret to dating, the secret to health. You search for the truth, the hidden truth, the real truth, the next good theory. But when you are confronted with the simple reality of the unknown, you say, how can I truly know if it is safe? How can I truly know anything? So rather, it's not really a question of what I know. Perhaps I have known for a very long time. Perhaps I have known in some ways all along. I have been learning so many things, and it ceases to be a question of what I know, rather, what do I believe? Do I believe what I know? And do I believe, am I open to what the universe is trying to tell me? I'm so attached to what I know that I can't stop knowing things and seeking out new information. I seek safety in knowledge because I run from this fundamentally quantum physical, unknowable nature of reality. Reality is constant improvisation, is constant change, and that's where the fun and the freedom is. And to know yourself is to take your freedom and to see this as the underlying, you could say that I am confronted with this obstacle or that obstacle, but underlying every obstacle is this question of how can I really know what my goal is? What is the goal I am trying to reach? And how do I know that that goal will make me happy? So then I begin to question, if I have no goal, then how can I have an obstacle? And both the goal and the obstacle are tangible objects, and neither of these things have anything to do with my health or my happiness. And those things have to do with energy and the intangible. You can spend a certain portion of the day eating and doing a kind of tangible consumption, but majority of the time is just an act of free will. It's just the intangible. So real freedom, you're going to have to figure out what to do with the rest of the time. The time that you're not doing something tangible, what are you doing? Are you just passively watching TV, or you have to fill that time somehow? And majority of the time is intangible. So it really comes down to, do I believe that what I know is true? And to find that out, you just have to go into it. You have to realize that you are powerful, and you can confront yourself. It ceases to be a question of what do I know, but it's more of a confrontation of the self. Can I confront this part of myself that is pushing away what I want? Like, if I know what I want and I've done it before, then why is it that when I get close to it, I push it away? I try to appropriate the intangible back into some kind of tangible goal. I'm like, oh great, I really felt happy today. I can use this happiness to meet some girls and to attract a larger friend network and to write my book, like Bilbo Baggins. He can finally write his book in peace and quiet of the safety of his home. There's a question that underlies any conflict, and that question is, how can I know what is real? And the answer is simple. I can't know what is real. So then the question changes to, why do I think I should know in the first place? And knowledge itself isn't an answer to a question. It's just a symptom of like, well, what am I trying to gain by knowing? Knowing it's like a roadmap, and knowing is going to take me to some type of goal somewhere at some point. By having this theory of life or social skills, or my theory of success at work, I have some kind of goal by knowing these things. But then that goal just becomes a kind of materialism, and does it ever really bring me happiness? So even the thoughts in my mind just become an extension of the materialism, whether it's my goal or the flip side, the crash that comes after failing to reach the goal. And now my mind drives me back into what else do I know? I know that my goal didn't work out, but I know that if I go home and watch TV, that will bring me kind of relief. And that was another thing that my mind told me to do from knowledge. So there's a kind of salvation in realizing that I don't really know what life is, and I can't know, but that means I haven't reached my limit. If I know what my limit is, then the unknown becomes my salvation, because the mind is creating limitations, is creating estimations and simulations. I can know that I can only work this number of hours, I can only meet this number of friends, but I might feel something different, and the mind can't explain the feeling. The feeling tells me I can do all this other stuff, but it's frustrating because I can't explain that. So I seek safety in my thoughts. But the thoughts, this reassuring voice, it comes from a kind of loneliness, the sense that you can't stop thinking, you can't stop solving the equation and coming up with the next big idea that's going to get you those skills, get you those friends, when really it's already happening by itself, but it happens slowly and it happens naturally, and both those things are very uncomfortable for the mind. The mind likes to come up with ideas. It likes to think quickly. It's fueled by caffeine and fast-paced electronic entertainment, and it's hard for the mind to accept that it has to slow down and accept the things that it simply cannot know. So it all circles back to there's this confrontation of these feelings of urgency, like I am running out of time, and that's a feeling like, if I don't figure this out soon, I'm going to be out of time. If I don't accomplish enough today, I am going to run out of time, and I'm not going to attract the life I want. And that it all originates from a feeling, and the feeling has to be confronted. It's really not a matter of, do I know, have I figured out the riddle? Have I found a solution? It's like I've found many good solutions, and I've had these solutions for a long time. And there are plenty of people who don't have any solution, but they're just raised in a natural kind of nurturing environment where there isn't really a lot going on in their minds. They don't know the secret to the universe. They're just kind of blissful for no particular reason. And that's kind of the key, is there isn't really a particular reason to be happy. And that's so difficult for the mind to accept, that the mind wants a roadmap to success. And when you realize that there is no map and there is no way to label success, and the act of labeling success is to capture it in like a bottle or a crystal, and you capture that success, and then you are no longer free. So you might feel like you succeeded today, but then when you think on the success, you try to explain it, and the explanation ends up making you unable to repeat yesterday's results. So you end up using yesterday's ideas, but losing yesterday's results. So it's to get the results back, You have to actually let go of all the things you learned, and you have to face this ironic conclusion of you are actually unlearning. You're spending most of your time unlearning things that you have been learning, and that's very frustrating. It feels like you are deleting your accomplishments, but that's the only way to really embrace the flow of nature, because the animal kingdom is not a mentally complicated place, and as humans we are the slave to our minds. The mind is the tool, but we have become tools ourselves, and we have become slaves to the simulation of our mind, which was never meant to be more than a secondary and abstract reality. We have created our lives around the abstract realities of paper currency, but each person has a choice to be happy regardless of difficulties they may face financially or whatever it may be. You do have a choice to not be emotionally miserable, even if you may have challenges, as so many people do. There's always a choice to not suffer more than necessary.
It can be scary, but you have the power to let go of any thought or idea your mind may be holding on to. And very much like the Matrix, your mind makes it real. And your mind is connected to your nervous system, and the ideas will feel indistinguishable from reality. The fears that your mind is projecting onto reality, these kind of predictions of the future, will often feel very real in a visceral way. And to disconnect from that ego, that identity we've created around predicting and controlling our lives, trying to create a comfortable life by relying so much on the mind, to cut out that part of ourselves can feel like dying. It's like walking through fire, and there's the sense of everything we love is kind of going up in flames. But you do have the power to you always have that up your sleeve. You have the power to let go of the limits your mind creates. And because on some level you already know, you can look at the world around you and see that people can do things that other people can't, and that some people are just happy for no reason. And you have that power to let go of any ideas or assumptions your mind has created, so that there really isn't any kind of limit to how happy and energized you can be, the kind of your personal energy, your personal happiness. You don't have to make limits there. You just have to kind of pay attention to what your emotions are holding on to. And you don't really have to worry about your mind, because your mind is just doing what the emotions instruct it to do. So that's the trick to the riddle of the mind, is to stop worrying about what the mind is doing. And we're taught to try and control our minds, but that isn't up to you. You can't force the mind to stop thinking. That's a distraction. It's distracting you from the emotions that are driving the thinking. You're trying to solve life. You're trying to figure out a way to make life feel safe. And maybe life just doesn't feel safe. Maybe that's what's underlying all the distractions and the struggle, the obstacles in your life. It's just like a sense of danger and a feeling, the fear of, even when the obstacle goes away, you still have to face the void, the nothingness, the aloneness, and the unknown. The unknown and the alone. And you can go into that and you can face that, but you'll be trapped in your mind if you think that your mind is the enemy. It's really, your mind isn't the enemy. We've been taught to live in our mind and to solve problems by thinking about them, but we don't use our feelings. We don't realize that our feelings are driving the show. They are the man behind the curtain. The feeling is what is driving the mind to try and seek safety, to try and come up with a plan, to guarantee something. There'll be something safe we can hold on to, something we can rely on. But happiness is about freedom, and we can't rely on these specific things to create happiness. We can't look for an external source of joy. So We have to look into that feeling, the feelings of danger that drive us into these hard attachments. The feelings are very deep, and they've always been there. And I'm not looking for happiness. I'm looking to let go of the fear, and the fear that's always been there, that we've failed to identify, that we've blocked out, and we've attributed it to other things, to other events. But it's much older. These fears have always been with us, and they drive us to think about things. It's just part of being human, is we take the fear and we funnel it into our minds. But if you confront the emotion and on a day-by-day basis, you can kind of slow down the whole process. And it's a very slow process of getting to know the emotions and finding what real freedom is, thinking about what you want in life. You don't have to chase the positive emotions. You just have to confront the fear that blocks the emotion, the stress, to let go of the control patterns, to realize you don't need them. You don't need to argue with your mind. You don't need to argue with your feelings. You don't need to tell yourself what to do or tell yourself not to think. Tell yourself what to think. You don't need to quarrel with and confront, battle your mind. You just have to pay attention to what you're feeling. That's the paradox. That's what gets people stuck. We think we're supposed to figure out the confusion in our mind. We're supposed to find a solution that makes it less confusing. But the confusion doesn't come from the mind. It's a blind spot. The confusion is the emotion and the reality, the actual reality that is existing outside the mind. And the mind can't comprehend reality, so it panics, and we have all this mental confusion. But the answer to the mental confusion is not located in the mind. And that is the enigma. That is the problem. That is the place, that is the exact spot where we all get stuck. So we're looking for something in the mind to clear the confusion, but the confusion never came from the mind. The mind is struggling to grapple with the actual reality of what we feel and what is actually going on around us. There can be an external cause that might not even be inside your body at all. There could be something outside that is creating fear. So why look inside for an answer? Because the outside world is so much bigger than you, and it's full of these dimensions, the substance of life, the quantum foam, the unknowable nature of reality. It's like you're swimming in the sea of substance, and you can't try to know what is going on because it's an experience that you're constantly having. You've been having the experience all along, and you're continuing to have this experience. You're being taken into this life to experience something, and it's not your job to know what is going on. We try to know things because we're panicking. We want like a scrap of paper with some directions to tell us what to do. We want a road map, and the map is what distracts us. It's what keeps us outside reality. We're kind of playing chess with ourselves, and we've dissociated ourselves from reality by trying to predict the future and predict and control things. We are kept inside our minds. Our minds have all the answers with 2 billion neurons, but the neurons can't protect us from reality, and that's the glitch in the matrix. That is the loop in the computer simulation. That the real problems, the real challenges in life can't exist beyond in a dimension that is outside of the mind, and we feel it every day. We know that we are being taken through this experience, and the mind can do amazing things, but it can't shield us from reality. We think that because our minds are so incredible and because they can make these amazing calculations and simulations, like a computer program that is alive and highly intuitive, we are simulating reality in ways that can be sometimes very vivid. You think about a vivid dream and how realistic our dreams can be. The mind can really predict quite a lot about reality, and yet the mind cannot shield us from the actual reality, because in the end it is a simulation. It's a secondary reality. It is very abstracted from the reality, so we can't know the true depth of the substance of reality. Cannot be comprehended. It cannot exist inside the mind. So the mind cannot shield us from what we don't know, from the experiences we are trying to have. We are being taken into an experience. It's like going through a birth canal, going through a tube or a tunnel. We are being taken into this vortex of energy, and we have to let it pull us all the way through. We have to leave the safety of the womb and be pulled out into. We have to leave the safety of our cocoon and be pulled into the actual reality, to something that's outside the cave, Plato's cave. You could live your whole life thinking the shadows on the wall are reality, but it's like the Matrix. It's the illusion. The mind is so good at simulating things that often what we think life is feels real to us. We have all these kind of ideas about reality, and we just accept that that is reality. So, but reality is an experience, and you just have these people who are very happy all the time for no reason, or you have kind of these messianic figures who can really change people just by being true to themselves, and they create these ripples of change. And these people were able to let go of their minds and not have to try and predict the future all the time, because we think we're so intelligent, we think we're so smart, and yet our knowledge is what gets in the way. It keeps us predicting the future and not living in the present. And it's very difficult. It's very terrifying to let go of what we perceive as intelligence, because they say ignorance is bliss, but the truth is it's very scary to let go of your mind and to not have to think about anything, to enter a new experience and just let the experience take you. But you do have that choice. I think we forget that we have the choice because it feels it's like playing a video game. It's very addictive. It feels good to think a lot about things, and the thoughts are reassuring. They're going to guarantee our future, but they really can't. They take us out of the water, the fluid of life, and they move us up into a place that is dry. It's like hiding up in a tree, and you're afraid to get wet. You're afraid to get your feet wet in the actual substance of reality.